With such a beautiful weather out there, No U-Turn is out on the roads again, taking you to another spectacular location called Chand Bibi Mahal in Ahmednagar. Ahmednagar is a small town about 100 kilometers north of Pune, and just about 13 kilometers on the outskirts is this beautiful monument called Chand Bibi Mahal. Now, Chand Bibi was a local warrior queen who was best known for the great resistance that she put up against the mighty forces of Emperor Akbar somewhere around the mid-1500s. Now, even though the location that we are visiting is called Chand Bibi Mahal, it is not so, and history rightly puts it as the tomb of Salabat Khan II, who was a local statesman around the mid-15th century. It's a weekend and typically you'll find a lot of local folks visiting out here. So here we are at the gate. Immediately this monument imposes itself on you. It's an octagonal, very symmetrical structure, and most of these galleries you see there are intended for the sun's rays to come in. We pay our respects at the basement structure. We don't film it anymore. I will take you upstairs to see the monument now. At first glance, as soon as you enter this monument, at the ground floor itself, you realize that it's not as small as it looks from far away. It's quite a huge structure, amazing symmetry with a huge central atrium, and there's a dome right on top, and all these walls actually form a very symmetrical octagon, and these windows are supposed to capture light on pretty much every stage of the setting and rising sun. This place is windy almost all day long, and Reshma is loving it. Now just take a look at these arcs. These coincide on the inner and the outer wall, creating a kind of a footway or a pathway on the outer side of the central atrium. The stone setting of ancient Mughal architecture is just so precise. And while there is no external staircase that actually goes up, here's the secret. The staircase to go up to the first and the second levels is actually built inside the wall of the inner atrium. For first timers, it always takes some time to solve this puzzle. Now, each of these steps is actually 12 to 15 inches tall, and it takes some effort to climb them. Also, this staircase overall is not more than 2.5 feet wide, so if there's somebody coming the opposite way, you're pretty much stuck. As soon as you get on top and get to one of those galleries, you will see why this is such a beautiful place and why they chose this place to build this tomb. It is so windy out here, it's just too enjoyable. Just look at Reshma's hair. Now there are no grills out here, and the boundary wall is pretty low. So if you're with kids, you got to watch them. The same structure from the basement actually repeats itself on the first floor. If you see, all these arcs are actually an exact replica of what we saw on the ground floor. Now, the view from one of these balconies is actually going to be extremely nostalgic for me, because right down there in the distance you see those bunch of windmills. Well, that's also one of our favorite destinations, and we'll take you there in a bit. But here, back to Chand Bibi Mahal. Now here's the door that they've used to shut off the staircase that goes to the top level. Again, as I said, the boundary wall doesn't exist on the top level and it gets quite risky, so the government has shut it down. So here's a good view of the staircase as we get down. If you see, it takes quite some effort to get down each stair, and just look at that. A narrow, beautiful, concealed staircase. And wait for it as Reshma emerges. If you come here on weekends, you'll run into quite a bunch of friendly locals, but on weekdays, it's quite deserted. This guy doesn't take a liking to me, so I'll leave him and let him be. One thing to note is there are no restaurants around, so you will need to carry your own food and water. So there you go, the tomb of Salabat Khan II aka Chand Bibi Mahal. And as usual, it gives us a smile on our face. It's just such beautiful weather today. It's the rainy season in Maharashtra, and if you see, it's greenery all around. So this actually adds to the beauty of this drive. And now we have to go off-road in a bit. We will take the road less traveled. So we break away from the asphalt road, and there, now the off-road journey begins. The road is actually so bumpy that the image stabilization on my GoPro is put to the test. This video angle doesn't do justice to the bumps, but trust me, it is all rock and unpredictable bumps here and there. Now just wait for that splash coming up. There you go. And just look in the distance out there, you see those windmills. There's another splash. And we're headed there. Just wait for it. Okay guys, so this is where we come quite often, and I wanted to get you here. There's Reshma, and there's a favorite spot of ours. The wishing sound that you see is the blades of a giant windmill. Now, each of these blades is about at least 60 to 70 feet long. You must have seen these blades being transported on huge trailers on highways, and I sometimes wonder how they get up there. I'm sure the engineers have figured it out, but coming and getting so close to one is something that very few of us would have ever done. So no U-turn brings you to another favorite spot of ours, which is very close to Chand Bibi Mahal. We are on the outskirts of Ahmednagar town, and we are now close to a base of a windmill. Now this is the base, and I'm going to bring you to realize how broad this base is. So while I pan this camera up, Reshma is settling down at the base, and there she is. So you can now see how broad the base is of this windmill. Not just that, each of these blades, to move at the speed at which they are moving right now, the kind of wind power that you need is amazing. So Mother Earth, a big salute to you for showing us how with and for us to accept with humility what is your power. Again, this place is the Deccan Plateau. It's on the adjoining hill to Chand Bibi, and that's the ride that got us here. As I showed you earlier, it was quite slippery and rocky and a bumpy ride, but the Scorpio takes it in its stride. There's a whole range of windmills out here. Some of the windmills, the neighboring windmills out here, and I'll just zoom in to show you some on the mountain just behind. There's the faint shadows of the windmills. There's a cloud that's already come up there. So here we are, one of our favorite spots to come here. We come here to picnic often, every time we come to Chand Bibi, and that is Ahmednagar on the plains that you see out there. It's a nice overcast day, windy day. It always is windy on top of these mountains, purely because the wind catches speed as it travels along the plains, and as it finds an ascent on these small hills, it just gains superpower. I'm gonna shut up a bit, and I'm very close to the wishing sound of the windmills. I want you to hear this. Well, I'm hoping the mic has captured it. It's like if you take a cane of bamboo and you just strike it through the air, the kind of sound that it makes is exactly the kind of sound which is, and at a very, very high bass levels, is what this windmill is making. All right, it's gonna rain here, so we're gonna scoot. That's the track we came from. It's raining. It's a kind of muddy, slippery track, and it continues here down the road. Scorpio has pretty much done a great job, and there you see the shadow of the windmill on the windscreen. And since we are in Ahmednagar, we got to visit one of our other favorite joints. We have arrived at the best black masala mutton's place in Ahmednagar, which is called Sagam. This place has been around here for decades, and every time we come here, we make it a point to visit this place. So Kala Masaala in Marathi, or Kala Masaala in Hindi, or simply black masala, and goat mutton cooked in that masala happens to be a delicacy in these parts. And this is the restaurant which is most famous for serving that dish. So with a beautiful day spent in Ahmednagar, we are headed back to Pune. This is No U-Turn, a channel that brings you our travel and lifestyle diaries. We hope you loved the video. Do leave a comment down there to let us know which are the other places in Ahmednagar that you think are worth visiting. Do subscribe so that you get regular updates on our travels. Signing off. Jai Hind.